Hello everyone, it's me again, Raquel Ana Altres, and this is the continuation of our discussion and developmental reading 1. For the lesson 2, viewing reading as a skill. So a skill is a complex integration of process. And according to Otto and Chester in 1976, who attribute of skills development, the skills essential for success in reading can be identified and described in a reasonably objective manner. This means that their development does not depend on any single set of methods or materials, nor is their development tied to any given grade or age level. Number 2, the skills generally tend to be sequentially related. So that is a certain skills must be taught and mastered before others can be introduced. So there is a logical order to be followed. Number 3, the skills are generalizable, except for a few unique skills peculiar to the language, a taxonomy of specialized subject matter. The same skills are applicable in all content areas. So, the skills are generalizable, meaning what you had learned before is you can now apply or use to learn a new things or in different areas. Next, global reading skills and sub-skills. There are 3 types: word recognition, comprehension, and study skills. And a word recognition, it is a two-fold process. Number 1, the recognition of printed symbols by some method so that the word can be pronounced. So, you will be able to recognize the printed words or printed symbols for you to be able to pronounce. Number 2, the attachment to or association of meaning with the word after it has been properly pronounced. So after you properly pronounce the word, you will get to know the meaning of the word. So in word recognition, there are strategies. And strategies for pronunciation, there are 5 kinds. And number 1, phonic analysis and synthesis. It is a decoding technique, the ability of the student to make the proper grapheme, phoneme, or letter sound correspondence. So example, the teacher will say out loud letter A, so the students will write the letter A on the whiteboard. Number 2, whole word or look and say method. This method has the teacher or any other individual directing your attention to a word and then saying the word. It is also teaches students to read words as a whole units, not by letters. Example, the students are repeatedly told the word name while being shown the printed words. And number 3 is structural analysis and synthesis or word parts. It involves the breaking down analysis of word parts and the building up synthesis of word parts into words. Word parts are the prefixes, suffixes, roots, bases, and the combining forms. And number 4, look up the pronunciation in the dictionary. So it involves checking the word in the dictionary. And the last, number 5, context clues. So from the word clues, it means hints found within a sentence or paragraph that a reader can use to understand the meanings of new or unfamiliar words. Next is strategy and word recognition is the strategies for word meaning. So there are 2 kinds. Number 1, context, meaning the words surrounding a particular word that can help shed on its meaning. And number 2, structural analysis and synthesis for word meaning. This involves the breaking down of word meanings and putting up of word meanings into larger scales of meaning. For the letter B, comprehension. Reading comprehension is a complex intellectual process involving many skills. So this used your cognitive because this is how you comprehend or understand what you had read. Next, study skills are strategies and techniques that enable you to make the most efficient use of your time, resources, and academic potential. So these are very important in content reading, okay? Because this is how you learn by using your time, resources, and academic potential. Next is skill learning. There are 5 steps. Number 1, identify the skills using lists that have the support of successful teachers. Number 2, state the objectives that describe either mastery levels of behavior or describe situations for developing the skills. So you must make objectives that what should the student must be learned after the activity. And number 3, examine individual skill development to determine students' strengths and weaknesses. Number 4, identify and carry out appropriate teaching and learning activities. So after you determine the students' strengths and weaknesses, you can now carry out the appropriate teaching or learning activities to the students. And the last step is evaluate the results. So after you've done the step 1, 2, 3, 4, you will now evaluate or check the results if the student met the objectives after the activity. Okay. Reading as a skill, not skill. So according to John Downing in 1982, when he asks, is the learning of separate subskills a prerequisite for learning to read? And his answer is no, because he believes that reading is a skill. You must learn or you must know the subskills such as a word recognition, comprehension, and study skills. So he believes that reading is a skill. Next, reading as a unitary skill. And there are views of this, and according to Kenneth Goodman in 1970, who argues for reading as a holistic process. Because, according to him, there is no possible sequencing of skills in reading instructions, since all systems must be used independently in the reading process, even in the first attempts at learning to read. So for him, there is no logical steps to follow. And another psychologist, reading as a unitary skill, according to Alls in 1982, reading as a level of proficiency in reading a text or comprehension of a text with concomitant of a text with concomitant identifiable subskills. So which we use to process text. At the same time, this unitary skill can be analyzed in terms of component subskills. Next is the taxonomies of reading comprehension based on the Gray, Gates, Smith, and Barrett models. There are 5 levels. Level 1, literal comprehension. It is the ability to obtain a low-level type of understanding by using only information explicitly stated in the text. And for the level 2, the interpretation, it demands a higher level of thinking because the questions are concerned with answers not directly stated in the text but are suggested or implied. For the level 3 evaluation, it involves the making of a personal judgment on the text by the reader. And for the level 4 integration, it stresses reading for use and for values clarification. And the highest level, which is creative reading, it uses divergent thinking skills to come up new ideas or alternative solutions to those presented by the writer. And that's all for the lesson 2. Thank you and God bless.